Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with John Glesinger and Leslie Ackerman of Comprindeo. John, Leslie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Hall.
Great. So, John, what was your background before joining Comprindeo?
Okay, well, long and varied. I started in the tech sector back in the very early 80s with the coming of the very first IBM PCs, and my first tech startup was computer-aided design, CAD/CAM related in the mid 80s, and have then just continued to be forging ahead, seemingly ahead of the curve at some stages, which makes it very painful as we wait for the world to catch up with us and get the technology right. But since then, built platforms in the HR space and now into Comprindeo as a result of working very extensively with unstructured data around people. So that's a very short version.
Sure. And Leslie, how about your background? What did you do prior to this?
Basically, out of college, I met some musicians that were having a problem in London finding studio space that they could pay for and afford. What we did was we decided to start buying studios and leasing them out and hiring them out to musicians. At that time, I was involved with a rock band that was one of the first to sell albums online. We developed a merchandise platform to sell albums and marketing materials. So we did quite well in that arena. Since then, I did work in music publishing for a few years and came back to live in the United States. And I started some real estate companies and businesses and insurance. So I've kind of done just about lots of different little bits and pieces. But John and I were brought together through our mutual interest in recruiting and moving around, human capital and such. And that sparked the whole interest in Comprindeo, which is making videos searchable.
And so why did you choose AI and deep learning as the technology platform for that?
Well, if we take a look at it's easy to look back now from where we are today, but if we think about the amount of data that's on the internet that is actually in videos, more than half of the data is already in videos. And we sort of consider that almost as big or a bigger challenge than what's on the dark web, because really, for most people, what's in podcasts like this one and videos, on the surface of the video and podcast, you have no idea what's in there. So the idea and the concept of being able to unbundle the data that's hidden within those is massively exciting to us. So as we saw the emergence of high quality AI and deep learning in language models, and the ability to actually come up with very fast methods of being able to understand concepts within what is being spoken, as opposed to simply coming up with creative ways to do keyword searches, we find that we're able to not just find what we are looking for, but also to find the things that we were not necessarily expecting to find. And without AI, we're never going to find those things. And without deep learning, we're never going to be able to progress beyond simply being able to get a collection of words together in a cloud and hope that someone can make sense of it.
We wouldn't have our two tech businesses if we didn't have AI and deep learning. And using GPU processors allows us to process the information very, very quickly. So I guess that's one of the reasons why. Plus, last year we spent a lot of time at the CogX, which is Cognition X. It's a yearly conference. It's Europe's biggest artificial intelligence conference. So we learned a lot there too.
Just going to quickly reflect on that, actually, which was one of the things that we learned was that not everything that has the label AI actually is AI. And we were really mystified when people would come round to our little booth there and say, well, we've been around so many booths at this AI show, and it's actually not so much AI. What have you guys got? Can you now do me a demo that shows us something that's artificial intelligence or deep learning? And they would walk away, thankfully, very satisfied that we did. So it's a great label. It's a bandwagon that's moving very fast and very effectively. So I think there's a real need for people to be discerning. Is it AI at all? Do you need AI? It's like everything was cloud services and now everything's AI. So it's not a fad by any means. It's very important and very useful. But we said it's essential.
So for those investing in this space, what's your advice for them now that you know about AI in the deep learning space? What should the investor be looking for aside from the fact that there's true AI and not true AI? What else are you seeing out there?
First, my advice to investors is call us. But secondly, Leslie's got a much better answer.
Well, just make sure check the AI-ness of it. If it's really something that's solving a problem, there are going to be several companies trying to put together software that's going to be replacing human-like intelligence. So just make sure that it solves a problem, that it's a technology that we see these technologies being rolled up into other technologies like image recognition for our sector. But just make sure it's something that is unique and just check that it is actually using the algorithms that we see in AI.
So what's the current state of this sector? How is the industry evolving and where do you see it going?
Well, evolution is phenomenal. Leslie mentioned the CogX in London, Europe's biggest AI event and conference. The scale and number of people that are visiting that grows from something like a few hundred people on year one to thousands and 10,000 people and so on as each year goes by. So the level of interest is phenomenal. The level of activity and what's possible within that is also coming along. We're sort of the sort of things that we see as exciting developments are the way that we can interface with different classes of processor. For example, we're using language, but we're using GPUs to do some of our fastest and most difficult processing. And that takes some serious programming to be able to adapt to that sort of thing. So, the take-up is in every area possible. We're lucky because we're in the area of voice, and we see voice is coming along everybody wants to control everything by voice, but we still see that there's a big gap between what we would like and what actual reliability is right now in terms of did it really understand me and translate what I want to do into something that's doable. So we're seeing a lot of old-fashioned decision trees, which are really useful, being converted into chatbot processes very effectively. And we think that's extremely good, but we also have to be careful because of some of the limitations of how they're set up. So again, as Leslie said, beware, be careful what you're buying. You want to buy and look at a prescription that's suitable for what you're trying to carry out. So the same rules for business apply to AI as well as everything else. Make sure you get a good service design, make sure you've figured out what the customer experience is going to actually work like and actually solve a real problem. And these are the sort of things that we see. We can jump the conversation into blockchain, for instance. And if you correlate back to the dot-com boom, when lots of people were sort of, okay, we're going to jump on the dot-com bandwagon and do what? Ultimately, a lot of those things fell by the wayside because they weren't solving problems that anybody really had. And the things that have survived that are, well, guess what? Buying books, buying vacations, getting travel, doing the things that we normally do much more effectively. But that also means that we might do those things differently. And we were looking back to another one of our businesses, which is an HR platform which deals with figuring out people's competence and experience by using a combination of semantic search and unstructured data. If you're going to continue to use the same process for looking for example, people to do work that you've been using since the last 20 or 30 years, then these systems aren't going to work effectively for you because the approach to examining the data has got to be different, just as we adjust our approach to reading the news.
So there are many investment theses for the AI sector. I know some that look at the presence and availability of data as being those are the winners in their subsector of AI. I know others that look at the effectiveness of the AI algorithm. The ones with the most effective algorithm wins. And then others are simply around acceptance of the solution, acceptance of an AI-based solution and interaction with it. For this area that you're in, what investment thesis do you think will be the driving one?
Well, yeah, all of the above, actually. So we have a SaaS model, so we can look at recurring revenues, which is very effective for people like that because they can understand the business and play with the numbers and get the mechanics of it. There's also a huge data play. We're going to be collecting a monstrous amount of data, and our users will be doing it for us, which is a lovely model. There's risk involved in that because, frankly, nobody knows until somebody buys it what is the value of that data set, and in particular ours, because nobody currently has it.
Yeah, and a lot of people who invest are looking at what the tech giants are doing. What are they investing in? And sometimes the tech giants miss the forest for the trees, and everybody wants to get on one particular bandwagon. But like John was saying, if you look at solutions around specific problems that maybe the tech giants aren't looking at, that might be an area of robust investment, especially now with the AI chips that are being built into all the hardware. There are a lot more possibilities, and we're in just a quickly changing world right now. It's amazing.
So what are the challenges in this space? When you're building an application in AI deep learning, what are the big challenges that you have to overcome in order to get to market?
I think a lot of them are traditional. We've got a great team. Do you have a good business model? Do you understand your market? And so on and so forth. So a lot of the basic ingredients are going to be the same. How do we put ourselves forward? Have we got to clue ourselves as to what our business is? But also understanding what the revenue models are. So that's pretty important to us, is that sort of thing. But, we get a lot of people trying to understand what it actually is that we're doing. Ours, fortunately, is a relatively simple thing to explain. Being able to make a video searchable and find what you're looking for seems to resonate very well with people. And once they've seen it, they want it.
One of the challenges I see, Hall, is a lot of the companies and startups in particular that are pitching their products and their solutions, they have such technology-heavy presentations. I think that's a big challenge, being able to convey very simply to your audience what it is that you're doing with your AI or machine learning, and deep learning. So
maybe you can describe a little bit more about Comprindeo and where they fit into the landscape of AI deep learning. What exactly is it doing, and how does it compare to other players that are out there in AI deep learning?
Well, one thing that is a differentiator with Comprindeo is that no one's actually doing what we're doing the way we're doing it. I think, what else would you say about that, John? Because there's no way to compare. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, people like to equate to things that they already know about. So it's like, well, so you're doing this, which is something that we already know about. So you're doing transcription. Well, yeah, transcription happens. And we can compare transcription models, and we can look at how we're faster and as accurate as literally anybody. And those are facts. I mean, we're definitely faster, and we can be just as efficient and accurate. But for the same text, you could find one company gets it right and one gets it wrong. Ultimately, it's a case of being able to convey effectively that what our differentiator is that we're actually not just showing the content of the video, we're actually understanding it in concept. So we know artificial intelligence is a thing as opposed to artificial limbs. So, in keyword searches, you might be looking for artificial intelligence, and it will highlight everything that's got to do with artificial anything. It could be artificial flavoring, who knows?
If our system makes a mistake, then the corrections are fed back in, and it learns from that mistake, and then it doesn't make the same mistakes.
So our language models really are learning from the choices that people are making and the corrections that are made. We use, effectively, once a transcript is produced, the transcript makes decisions as each word is uttered, then the choice is made. If the choice that is made is wrong from one person to another, then we can hook up voice biometrics and make sure that for one person it's one thing and for the other person it's another one. Our favorite example is which type of clause is being referenced. Is it a bear, a legal agreement, or Santa? So, and there's different spelling. So from one person to the next. And also when we're building language models, in the background, machine learning is used extensively. You bring in a huge amount of data, audio data and text data, simply let machines run and learn new languages over a period of weeks. It takes a lot of data.
But we can do it in 6 to 8 weeks. We can build a new language that is built on contextual understanding of language.
So what type of videos do you find to be the immediate opportunities for your solution? Different languages sounds like one, but what specific applications do you think you're going to attack first with your tool?
Well, there's a couple of different places. First of all, we have a plugin which will initially work on YouTube, and effectively that will create for the user, generate automatic tags so that you can navigate and see what's in the video before you look at it. So that's sort of sector free. Now, it doesn't include cats doing tricks and kids falling off logs, but anything else, any how-to videos, training videos, informative videos, anything where voice is used, we can just display like you would look at if you went into a bookstore, you want to know what's in the book, you open the cover, you look inside and you look at the contents, and you've got a quick idea as to whether you're looking at the right book, or you can pop it back on the shelf and try another one. And that's exactly the same process. So it's changing our approach to things to be able to see what's in there. On the other side, putting a video into someone's website to talk about SEO.
Yes, that's the self-service subscription model whereby you can take your video, like you do have your videos, Hall, and rather than chop them up, you can put it into the system and embed that onto your website, and thereby it makes it indexable by Google, and you can boost SEO values based on that, on your podcast and other digital information that you want people to have access through across your whole website. Basically, they can search for terms within different videos or podcasts.
And there's a huge opportunity in advertising, product descriptions, and training and education, not only to understand the effectiveness of things, but find out what is working, what is not working, but also to track which subjects are useful. So we see students lining up wanting to use what we have as soon as we can get it out, to be able to say, well, I want to build a playlist in YouTube of the things that I've been looking at and what I've been clicking on, so that I can use those as reference material. So we actually hugely transform the way that these people are going to be able to work. So it really is transformative.
Yes, it is.
Well, that sounds great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I think one of the things we talked about earlier is, for people like us, getting investment is a minefield. So we're very happy that you guys are out there and helping to sort of simplify some of the views into places. So my thing is, we've spent a lot of time looking for amounts of money, anything from 100,000 to 50 million. The funny thing is that whatever you're asking for, or wherever you're asking for it, it always seems to be the wrong place.
Or the wrong number.
or the wrong number, exactly. So times like these where you can sort of match up the requirements of investors and entrepreneurs is tremendously helpful. And then anything that can help to do that will be very, very useful indeed. You see the same thing in innovation. There's a real mismatch. And if your innovation doesn't fit that group of people, then you've got to start all over again. It's what people don't understand is how difficult this is. It looks very easy, lots of money sloshing around, but those things are true, but it's really hard work. So very much we think that we're in the frog kissing business, and we've got a lot of it to do. So
yeah, and hats off to you, Hall. Thank you for this platform. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate that. And you're right. It is a challenging business to be in and make work, but payoffs are always there as well. So how best for the listeners to get back in touch with you?
Oh, by phone or email. Share our contact information as you see fit. And we also have a deck we can share and a one-page teaser.
We'll put that in the show notes as well. We'll have your LinkedIn profile, your website, and we'll put your email in there as well. And thank you guys for taking time to share that with us today. Hope to have you back for a follow-up to see how this industry develops and how Comprindeo carries forward. And with that, we'll go ahead and close it out for now.
Fantastic. Well, thank you
so much, Hall.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Hall T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.